You ever have one of those moments where your entire life just pivots on something that wasn't supposed to happen? Yeah, that happened to me, right there in a cramped pediatric therapy room. Watching my daughter Emma try to finger paint with a total stranger, someone I definitely hadn't hired, or at least, I didn't think I had. I'm Thomas Weston. I built a consulting firm from scratch, made plenty of tough calls in boardrooms, but let me tell you, nothing, and I mean nothing, prepares you for raising a little girl on your own, especially when the world's stacked against her from the start. Emma's 8. She's got this smile that can light up a room even from her wheelchair, which she's been in since that night 2 years ago, the same accident that took her mother. Since then, my world's been split into two parts, before and after. I'd run through 12 nurses, 12, trying to find someone who could do more than just check boxes and clock hours, someone who actually saw my daughter and not just her diagnosis. The agency told me Allison Parker was coming. Instead, I got a young woman with a messy ponytail, blue scrubs, and, God help me, a knack for making Emma laugh so hard she nearly spilled paint everywhere. "Mr. Weston," she said, springing up, all apologies and nervous energy. "I'm Harper Bennett. I think there's been a mix-up." She explained she was supposed to be somewhere else, Maple Street, not Maple Avenue. But when Emma opened the door, so excited for her painting session, Harper just stayed. Maybe it was irresponsible, but looking at my daughter, grinning like she hadn't in months, I didn't have it in me to send her away. I checked Harper's credentials. 5 years working with kids in rehab, more experience than Allison, actually, and something in my gut told me to give her a shot. I asked her to stay just for an hour, while I called the agency. That hour turned into a blur of laughter and paint smudges, Harper turning therapy into a game, coaxing Emma into stretches without even calling them exercises. When the agency finally called back, they apologized for the clerical mess. Did I want Allison Parker tomorrow? I found myself asking about Harper's availability instead. 3 days later, Harper became our regular nurse. And listen, I told myself it was all business. Emma needed stability, not another revolving door. But you can't fake the way a house changes when someone new walks in. The air felt lighter. Emma started pushing herself harder. Harper cheered every tiny victory, shrugged off setbacks like they were just bumps in the road, and every night, she'd update me in the kitchen about Emma's progress, her words full of warmth, not just medical jargon. One night, Harper told me Emma had asked if her mom would be proud of her. I felt that old ache flare up, but Harper squeezed my hand and just said, "Any mother would be proud of her." I didn't have words. Sometimes you don't need them. Over time, the boundaries blurred. Nurse, friend, something more, though neither of us admitted it. Until one evening, I came home and saw Harper pushing Emma's wheelchair through the garden, both of them giggling, sunlight pouring in like a blessing. That's when it hit me. I was falling hard. Which, of course, meant I started pulling away, making everything professional again. Scared out of my mind. I guess I thought if I ignored it, it'd go away. 2 weeks later, the agency called. Allison Parker was free again. Did I want to switch? That night, I asked Emma, gently, what she thought about Harper. Her face just crumpled at the idea of someone else. "Harper makes me want to try," she said, tears right on the edge. That's when I knew this wasn't just about hiring help. It was about letting the right person in. The next day, I asked Harper to stay after Emma's session. I told her the truth about the agency, about my feelings, all of it. She looked at me for a long moment, and then, voice shaking, admitted she felt the same. We decided to keep things slow, draw lines between work and whatever the rest of this was. I'd never been so nervous and relieved at the same time. For a while, it was this delicate dance. Harper was Emma's nurse during the day, but a few evenings a week, she'd come back for dinner, for movies, for long talks that lasted deep into the night. Emma, sharp as ever, figured it out fast. "Does this mean Harper will be here all the time?" she asked, hope written all over her face. 6 months after that first mix-up, Emma took her first steps, 3 wobbly, glorious steps, right into Harper's arms. We all cried. I mean, ugly cried. The kind you don't want your boss or your neighbor to see. I remember sitting in the garden that night, Harper by my side, both of us just breathing. A year ago, I didn't think we'd get here, I admitted. Didn't think Emma would walk again. Didn't think I'd ever feel anything but grief. "And now?" she asked, head resting against my shoulder. "Now I feel hope. Because you walked into the wrong house and stayed." Harper smiled, soft, tired, completely real. "It wasn't the wrong house, Thomas. It was exactly where I was supposed to be." A year later, Emma walked down the aisle as flower girl at our wedding. She still used her wheelchair sometimes. But the way she moved, shoulders back, proud, was a miracle. Harper wore a simple white dress, wildflowers in her hands, sunlight catching in her hair. And I kept thinking, all this, our life, together, started with a paperwork screw-up, a wrong address. Sometimes, the universe throws you a curveball, you know? The wrong person shows up, the wrong door opens, and suddenly, everything's different. Sometimes mistakes aren't really mistakes at all. They're the start of something better than you could have planned. If you've ever had a moment where a simple mix-up changed your life, or you found hope in the middle of chaos, leave a comment, tell me about it. Hit like, share, and subscribe if this story meant something to you. Because sometimes, the best endings come from the messiest beginnings, and you never know where the wrong address might lead you next. After that day, the wedding, the wildflowers, the sense that somehow we'd been handed a new life just because someone, somewhere, got an address wrong. I thought maybe things would settle down, you know? That maybe after all those years of scrambling and coping and pretending I had a clue what I was doing, we'd finally found our version of steady. Yeah, I was wrong about that. Turns out, even when you're lucky enough to get a happy ending, real life keeps tossing curveballs your way. And sometimes the biggest challenges sneak up on you right when you start to exhale. The first real bump came about 3 months after we all officially became a family. Emma, my miracle kid, decided she wanted to try out for her school's adaptive swim team. Now, you've got to picture this. Emma's never been afraid of a challenge, but the pool? That was different. The water made her nervous, brought back memories of the accident in ways she never really said out loud. Still, she insisted, and Harper was right there, supporting her every step, buying her a sparkly swimsuit, braiding her hair before practice, cheering loud enough for 3 people. I'll be honest, I was the anxious one, pacing on the bleachers, thinking of all the ways things could go wrong. But Emma, she dove in. She splashed, sputtered, flailed her arms around like she was born for chaos. And every single time she made it to the other end of that pool, she'd shoot us this look. Half mischief, half see, told you I could. It's wild, watching your kid take on something scary and realizing she's not the one who needs the pep talk. You are. Harper kept reminding me. She's braver than you think, Thomas. She was right, as usual. That's not to say everything was perfect. If anyone ever tells you blended families are all sunshine, send them my way. I'll set them straight. There were awkward dinners, silent car rides, those nights where the air felt tense for no reason except we were all figuring out how to fit together, how to be this new thing we'd created. Sometimes I worried I was asking too much of Harper, expecting her to love Emma like her own, to pick up the pieces I dropped, to be the glue when I felt like the whole world was coming unglued. And sometimes, Harper would get quiet, disappear into herself, and I'd have to learn that loving someone means letting them have their hard days too. But man, there were these moments, tiny, electric, perfect, like the time Emma woke up screaming from a nightmare, and before I could even get down the hall, Harper was already there, sitting on the edge of the bed, just holding her until the tears stopped. Or the Saturday morning when we all made pancakes together, me burning half of them, Emma sneaking chocolate chips into the batter, Harper singing along to some old pop song. Her voice way off-key, but so full of joy the whole kitchen felt brighter. Those are the snapshots that stick, you know what I mean? We kept building our new normal. Emma's progress kept surprising us. One day, she'd go a little farther on her walker. The next, she'd be wheeling herself down the block, determined to race the neighborhood kids. Harper and I learned to share the load, and somehow, with all our messy histories, we started to look forward more than we looked back. Then came the twist I never saw coming. Harper's dad showed up. Yeah, her dad. I'd heard stories, mostly hints about an old falling out, a stubborn streak she claimed she got from him. He just knocked on our door one rainy afternoon, suitcase in hand, wearing this sheepish grin like he wasn't about to shake up our entire routine. Harper froze in the hallway. Emma peeked around the corner, and me? I stood there like a deer in headlights. Turns out, Families don't just expand in the ways you plan. Sometimes they show up on your porch when you're least prepared, dragging decades of silence and a whole mess of apologies in behind them. That first dinner with him was tense, Harper trying to act normal, her dad making awkward small talk, Emma asking the kind of blunt questions only kids can get away with. "Were you nice to Harper when she was little?" she asked, all innocence. And for a second, I thought the old man would bolt. But he didn't. He stuck it out. Over the weeks, he softened around Emma, found ways to help, fixing leaky faucets, walking her to the bus stop, even showing up to watch her swim meets, cheering louder than anyone except Harper herself. I won't pretend it was all smooth, but seeing Harper and her dad slowly patch things up, well, it did something for all of us. Reminded me that healing comes in layers, sometimes from places you thought were done growing. If you're waiting for a big dramatic finale, sorry to disappoint. Real life just keeps rolling, with good days and bad, little victories, and the kind of setbacks that sting more than you want to admit. But looking around our crowded dinner table now, Emma cracking jokes, Harper's dad grumbling about overcooked pasta, Harper resting her head on my shoulder, I realize the best parts aren't the fireworks. They're the ordinary evenings when everyone's together, safe and loved, and a little bit better than they were before. You know, sometimes the universe gives you the wrong address, and sometimes it drops a whole new chapter on your doorstep when you least expect it. And if you're smart, or just stubborn enough to hang in there, you realize the biggest gifts are almost never the ones you had planned. So, that's where we are, still figuring it out. Still a work in progress. But finally, for the first time in a long while, feeling like we're exactly where we belong. If you've ever had someone unexpected come into your life and change it for the better, or if you're still waiting for that twist in your own story, drop a comment. Let's talk about it. Life's weird, messy, and sometimes a little magical, and I, for one, wouldn't trade a minute of it.